In the unprecedented times of the 2020 pandemic, our country's digital divide became widely exposed, and the effects of increasing economic and digital inequalities became more apparent. As the founder and president of a technology firm, Ed Christmas questioned the reason for this, as well as the underrepresentation of Blacks in the field of technology and entrepreneurship. On this podcast, Ed Christmas talks with guests about what is their why and the road they are on to bring our society to a place of greater economic and digital equality while sharing the good news of those making a difference. Welcome to The Road to Why, presented through the partnership of Cisco and Sology Solutions, a proud member of the African American Cisco partner community.
Welcome to The Road to Why, where we highlight individuals and organizations that are making a difference and having an impact in our less fortunate communities. I am your host, Ed Christmas, and I'm pleased to have joined me today Ms. Tammy Pierce, CEO, founder, and chair of the United Black Contractors. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you so much, Mr. Christmas. It's an honor.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful.
You know, just for the audience, we met like 6 months ago at a North Texas Tollway Authority kind of networking event. Yes. I was impressed with what you had to say, and you definitely had a differentiation to the market and what you're doing for Black contractors. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the organization, your mission and vision, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Wow, that is a big question. So I know you don't have all day, so I'll keep it short. But right. I started United Black Contractors in 2021. I sat on some boards in the DFW area, and I saw the disparity study for construction. It was alarming to me because I noticed that when it came to the African Americans in Dallas and in Fort Worth and in Arlington, are 1% on public-private partnerships. And what was alarming to me, it does not match the taxation. Every ethnicity, their contract awarding is very similar to their taxation in their population, except the African American. So I decided when I saw that is that I need to do something about it. So I got involved, and eventually I decided to start my own organization where I would be able to what we call build capacity of Black contractors in the marketplace.
And why contracting? If you talk about industries, I'm sure those numbers aren't too different. Yeah. Whether it's technology, I'm from the technology side, so we see similar numbers. Why general contracting?
Construction is birth. Yeah. It's the birth of a nation. When you can construct, that means you have finances. That means you can award contracts. That means you can hire general labor. Construction, when I see cranes in the sky, it's like a crying baby. It means that new infrastructure, new schools, new roads are coming. And so looking at the disparity numbers and looking at the statistics in the African American community, construction is vital and one of the top 3 industries in the United States.
And how old is the organization?
This year is 4 years.
Okay, going on 4 years this year. You've done a lot in 4 years. Share with the audience some success. I heard some numbers the other day, which shocked me. Just share with the audience what those numbers look like.
Oh, I'm extremely proud. So far, we've done $131,596,000 worth of contracts awarded to general contractors that are in the organization. I'm extremely proud of that. This year we adopted, for example, 40 kids for Christmas. And these were all kids that were in the Angel Tree program that we adopted. We've done job training, conferences. We've been extremely busy, as well as I'm very proud of last year. We did $350,000 worth of line of business credit for members of United Black Contractors.
Which is important.
Yes.
Let's talk about some of those trades. I know I've sat in on some meetings. We're talking about electricians, plumbers, general contracting. Right. Name some of the firms or members of your organization that are part of the membership.
Oh, absolutely. We've got Postel Group, Jeff Postel. We've got Kevin Butler, Butler Masonry, Eugene Walker, E.J. Smith. We have Noel Livingston, PNC Electric. I can go down the list. We have Jared Page, Page One Electrical. We We have Edwin Jones with EJS, A&E firm. We can build anything.
Right.
Anything.
So it's not that these companies don't exist. It's about getting them a even playing field, a seat at the table, so to speak. Is that a fair statement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And what gave you this vision? Because I know you've been around for a while. You're a native Dallas, correct?
Yeah.
You've been around. You've been a part of other organizations that were doing similar things.
Yes.
What made you say, I want to go at this alone and take a different approach?
I would say when people ask me that, I think about the civil rights movement. And I think about what happened when Malcolm was murdered and what happened when King was murdered. The movement stopped. So what if we had several organizations that were all headed in the same direction, that if one soldier fell, the other soldier picked up the gun and kept going?
Got it.
So I got involved with this to be an asset to everybody else that is already in the marketplace, so we can all fight together.
Gotcha.
That's why I did it.
So when you talk about your why, we all have to look at each other and look in the mirror and say, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
What is your why? Do you believe this is your purpose? Does this give you peace and energize you?
Yes, it does. It goes back to my grandfather.
Okay.
My grandfather and my grandmother migrated from Terrell, Texas.
Okay.
So they were sharecroppers. And so when they migrated here, my grandfather, it took him a while to get on his feet, to be able to get income. So he was shining shoes. And so he went a couple of days without a shine. And so my father, due to, they went 3 days without any money, took a shotgun and robbed a grocery store because of economics. So my father did go on and he graduated college, pledged fraternity, everything, got a bachelor's degree in business. He got out into the marketplace, and because of racism, he was denied a job. So he turned to crime. And as a result, he ended up murdered, and that destroyed my grandparents. And so when that happened, that became the domino effect in my family of Black males, the pipeline to prison. And recently I lost my brother in 2021. So I've seen what happens when you rob one patriarch the opportunity to be able to take care of his family, how I saw, and not just my family, what happens when men are bound economically, right? They turn to crime. It's different with a female and a male. See, nobody does anything for a man. My car can be stalled on the side of the road.
Someone's going to pull over.
Yeah, somebody's going to pull over. For a man, nobody pulls over for a man. It's just the rules of nature. So with all of the history, and it's sad, and I hate to bring up race. I'm tired of race. But I have to be honest with you, America was founded on it. I mean, you had for 400 years of institutionalized slavery, where you had a whole race of people that had no protection under the law. There was no police to call. Right. So, you have to read, when you read the slave narratives, I have a book of them I've had for 15 years. I've never been able to finish it because it's so horrible. There's no movie I've ever seen that depicted 400 years of slavery, no federal protection, no laws. Someone could do anything they wanted to do to you, and you were an animal, and you did slave labor. So we're talking about 400 years, into the 1960s. We're talking about a race of men that could not hold their head up and look another man in the eye. You were lynched from a tree. Right. And so from 1492 to what is this, 2025, we're talking about roughly 523 years. 400 of that was slavery in America. And so we're still dealing with the economic ramifications of that. Yes.
So now that we're past that, do you believe deliberate or systematically these firms are not part of the construction industry?
That's a trick question. Deliberate or systemic? I believe it's a combination of both.
Okay.
It is. Because you've got diversity, equity, inclusion that was created by former President Richard Nixon. So it was in 1968. It was called the Office of MBE. Republicans wanted to have a relationship, or how can I say this? They wanted to feel like they had something to do with civil rights because you had JFK and you had LBJ,
Right.
both Democrats. So they wanted to say, hey, we had something to do with that as well. So they created the Office of MBE. It was part of Richard Nixon's campaign platform. It was ratified so many times that it did not become a law until 1974. Matter of fact, right now, it's in court, or they're debating over it because they're getting away. I've been told that they're getting rid of the M in the WBE. So there have been so many things that have happened down through the years that I'm convinced that either it was deliberate or systemic or both. That Black males have been kept economically stifled in America.
And what do you think the advantage of having the Black male held out of these roles? And just to be clear to the audience, Solar-G Solutions is a technology Black contractor,
Right.
and we're faced with it every day as well.
Right.
And we're a member of your organization. I appreciate what you're doing.
Yes.
And it's good to have a voice
Right.
behind all of the companies that are struggling with getting a piece or a seat at the table. So this isn't a Texas issue. This is a U.S. issue.
Yes.
Every city has the same problem. And if you talk about Dallas specifically,
Right.
and again, you being a native,
Yes, I am.
do you see things being different here in Dallas? And my immediate response is no, but I'll even take it further. Since I've been here almost 30 years.
Right.
We've been talking about South Dallas and changing South Dallas from day one. What do you think is stopping our leaders from doing that?
That's a big question. Well, I answered the first question. Why one targeted group? Since 1865, Black males have been the most incarcerated. You see, prisons is business, right? You'd be surprised the major companies are the very wealthy people that invest in prisons.
Absolutely.
So America, there is a documentary called The 13th Amendment that's excellent, that talks about America has more prisons than any country in the world, has the most incarcerated per the documentary. So it's a market.
Right.
So you have to keep it in a capitalistic society. Somebody has to be on top and somebody has to be on the bottom. So I feel like the powers that be in freeing us in 1863, they systemically figured out how we're going to keep a prison class in America. And they thought it down into every single industry. And I feel like that's why they decided, okay, we're going to free them, but we're going to make sure that a certain percentage of them stay in the prison class. Because I don't care how much, how can I say this? I don't care how least we are here in terms of numbers. I don't care if we're 3% of the population in America. We're always going to be most of the prison population.
Disproportionate in
America.
the prison.
That has never made sense to me at all whatsoever.
It goes back to Jim Crow laws.
Right.
I mean,
right. Absolutely. And as far as what the problem is that in the southern sector, in every major city, let me take that back. In every major city that I've been in, I've traveled to, it's the same issue with construction, the same issue with unemployment rate for Black males. I even recently found out that in Dallas, 60% of the Black males, 60% of the homeless population are Black males in Dallas, which coincides to the 38% unemployment rate. So I began to look at the numbers. Wherever there's high unemployment rate, is also high homelessness of Black males at the same time. The problem is that these are leaders in the southern sector, right? They run on the Black platform, but when they're elected, they have someone else's agenda, right? We're not supporting and we're not putting in office who represents our interest. It's a chess move. So they, the powers that be, or someone wants to run somebody from office outside of our community, they'll find one of us to run and say, you run on their platform, but when you get elected, you have my agenda. And I think that's apparent. Every urbanized city in America has Black leadership with extreme slum and blight. Why is that?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a form of politics. We do not our Black elected officials, not all, I would say a vast majority don't belong to us. Number one, we don't support like what we should. It all goes back to economics. You can't afford to give a politician $1,000 when you need to pay your light bill or your mortgage. So it goes back again to capitalism.
Politics is a money game now.
It is.
So when you talk about our leadership here, again, 30 years myself, and you've been here longer than that, have we had any potential leaders that could make a difference?
Of course.
In the city?
We do. We have had some very good African-American leaders in Dallas. And so I will say we've had some change. But considering if you take it back to the 1960s, we haven't had enough. My family started out in North Dallas, and there's a book that talks about the history of Dallas. But during the 1960s, they went on a spree of lynchings and forced Black people north-south. That's why there are a lot of old cemeteries, African-American old cemeteries in the North, which bears witness to that. And they forced us south. Now we're being gentrified now out of the South.
Right.
And then they began at that point, after the 1960s, you started to see more representation in Dallas of African-Americans. We used to vote at large, and then they moved on to having single-member districts, which did help. So we have had some good leadership. Not enough, but we have had some.
So talk to me in Dallas specifically. I know when we met, we talked about a big project going on in the city of Dallas, and it's based around the convention center and the 7 projects that were broken out of that.
Right.
Talk to us about some of your initiatives as the organization lead. What are you communicating to these leaders?
Dallas is a very multicultural city. It's extremely diverse.
Correct.
And the contract awarding should look like that. So I have had an opportunity to meet with the leaders within the city of Dallas to talk about how we're going to build capacity, as I talked about the 1% for Black contractors. And let me say this, I'm not against any ethnicity making money.
Absolutely.
But my God, when we're 30% of the population and we're 1% of the contracts with 38% unemployment rate and the 60% homelessness, construction can heal that. So with Kay Bailey Hutchison, and I spoke before Mayor and Council November the 13th, and I said this to the Mayor and Council, this project is an opportunity for us to capacity build for Black contractors. The city of Dallas, due to the work of United Black Contractors, has committed to 28% utilization of Black contractors. And we're working now, and what I just want to ensure that it's major disciplines.
Right.
I have to be honest with you. A lot of times what we're giving is porta potty, to clean the porta potties and pick up the trash, wave the flags, put up the barricades, put up signs. So I'm saying is that those people I talked about, and also I want to add, Jimmy Porch with Merit Roofing. I mean, I can go down the list of very qualified Black contractors as well, but we have just some of the individuals I've named have been on major projects. From the DFW airport, the ISDs, they've built high-rise buildings, but they still have to fight and fiend like they just started.
Right. No, definitely. And the one thing you brought up, 28%, I've seen 30%, 35% in school districts. And the term I hear that drives me crazy is good faith effort.
Yes.
And my question around that is, it's having a number is one thing, but are you holding them accountable? What I will give credit to Dallas County, they have a compliance group now, and they're going to hold you to that number.
Yes.
So I want to make sure the city is looking at it that way. Don't say 28%.
Right.
And the general contractor could say, we tried, we couldn't find any Black contractors, because that's what I see a lot in the market.
Oh, they say that all the time. And a lot of it, I've talked with the city about the good faith effort that you speak of, right? They post it in the newspaper.
Right.
Or they'll hire a diversity and equity consultant group and to go out and, have networking events and, have you sign the paper, they'll come back. But our people in this marketplace, it takes a special kind of nurturing and love. When you talked about why, as the female energy, I'm nurturing.
Right.
I'm loving, right? I understand what my members need. And I know how to get out here and fight for it and to speak up on the statistics and speak up as to the disparity of Black males in America. Nobody ever says anything about the unemployment rate. No one says anything about the incarceration rate, the mental health rate. Nobody says anything about that. The nationally, per Dr. Claude Anderson, Black males have a 54% unemployment rate. When the unemployment rate for white males became to be 6%, it was called the Great Depression. Black men in America are in a Great Depression. So you have in the inner city, sports is really pushed really hard because you have all these young men thinking that that's the only way that they can have a good living is be playing sports. And I'm not against sports, basketball, nor football.
Very small percentage of success.
They actually make it. Right. You have all these parents and pushing these kids and because that's what they see. But people like yourself in your profession. For example, I took a group of Black contractors to a program called 3 T's in South Dallas. These are Black males that are between the ages of 18 and 14 that are in the program, and most of them single parent homes. And so I brought in a group of contractors to tell them how much they made a year. And they were like, wow, you can make this. They were like, you can make NFL money in construction.
Absolutely.
Right. And believe it or not, statistically, when I saw a statistic, most Black males in college are majoring in mathematics and sciences and civil engineering and architecture, right? So what happens, when they get out of college, or the problem is getting them to that point where they can get to college. Well, on the professional services side, a lot of African-American males excel in math, science, and engineering, and they didn't know that. Because and we even did a statistic. We went around the room and asked everybody what they wanted to be, and guess what? It was majority sports.
Got it.
Which again, there's nothing wrong with it. But everybody's not going to get an opportunity to go to the NBA and the NFL. Some do, and I'm happy for those that do. But we've been marginalized down to that, right? That the only way a Black male can make money is he has to
be sports. Right. No.
Yeah.
You're doing some amazing things. Let's talk about the Black contractors. So I understand the landscape. I understand city council. I understand county, all of these agencies and what they're doing or trying to do or not do. What can the Black contractors do different? What's your message to the Black contractors that are listening to us?
Don't give up. Have faith. I have a formula to success, and I don't mind sharing it. I put it on Facebook. It's energy. Well, let me back up, which E represents energy, but it's E squared plus W squared times F squared equals God.
Okay.
That's energy, work, and faith. If you put the energy in anything in life and you work hard and you mix it with faith and you double your effort, you will be successful. Race is something that's ugly in America. Again, I hate that we're still talking about it. It's really old.
Right.
And I tell people, Mr. Christmas, I want to work myself out of this. Why should there be a need for me? So I tell my members, and I'm speaking right now, don't let race be an issue. You put God first and you work hard and you put that energy, that work, and that faith, God will show up every time.
Amen.
I'm living witness. I am.
So with that said, we're about to close. What would you leave the audience? What would you want to say to the audience in closing out and how they could participate in helping your mission?
Go into UnitedBlackContractors.com. I have on the front of my website, you can donate. There's a picture of a group of Black males. I did a job. That's an actual real picture where I had 10 jobs and almost 100 young men showed up. I was in tears because I didn't have enough jobs to give everybody.
Right.
So support our efforts. Message me on social media, or you can also message me on the website and join the fight to build Black males economically in America, because in building Black males, you're building the Black family.
Absolutely.
And so help me work my way out of this, where there's no need for this, or we can move on to other things and make them great. But always be the best version of yourself and never give up.
Awesome. Super message. You're changing lives with individuals, changing communities, and together we could do it.
Yes.
With that said, We appreciate you participating in the session. I enjoyed the discussion. And until next time, be blessed.